Awesome. And welcome to the Winter Garden Yoga podcast. Today, I'm super excited to have Tim Anderson with us on the show. If you've attended any of my classes and we've done neck nodding, rolling, and crawling, all that credit goes to Tim. He's an author, an instructor. He's created a system called Original Strength. And Tim, without giving away too much, can I hand it over to you and you tell folks a little bit about yourself?
Well, sure, but you'll have to steer me if I didn't tell all the right stuff.
Okay.
My name's Tim Anderson. I live in a small town in North Carolina called Fuquay Varina. Because of that, I tell everybody I live in Raleigh. It's much easier to say. I've been a personal trainer since 1998, and I currently teach Original Strength all over the world, and that's a movement system that fortunately found me about in 2009, 2010, somewhere in there. And what else do you want to know, Brian?
Tons. Well, this is great for me. So full disclosure. I've been using the Original Strength stuff maybe even since your very first book came out, Pressing Reset. Is that correct?
So it was, the very, very first book was Becoming Bulletproof.
Becoming Bulletproof. Okay, but Pressing Reset is in your bibliography somewhere. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. So let's take a couple of steps back. If I understand correctly, I know you were very big in the kettlebell community. And I know at some point in your life, you kind of, I don't know if you gave up kettlebells completely, but you started going more and more and more towards your Original Strength system. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. The way it all happened was I really loved kettlebells.
Mm-hmm.
And like to the point where they excited me. I had been training for a long, long, long time, and they were new. And that newness was exciting to me. So I overdid it.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not allow myself to recover. I just wasn't being smart. So I developed a lot of overuse injuries with them. But I was a meathead. I brought that to the table. So I was just pushing through it because that's what I did. But eventually I got tired of hurting.
Mm-hmm.
I started learning about corrective exercises, and I learned some fascinating stuff from some other systems, but what I learned the most was how to chase my tail. So if I was trying to fix something, it seemed like if I was able to fix anything, something else would pop up,
mm-hmm.
and then pop up, and then the other thing would happen again. And anyway, it just got to be very frustrating, and I started feeling fragile. And that's how this all started. So I've always wanted to be Superman. Never grew out of that. I love the superhero movies, the comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I was feeling fragile one night, and I got kind of depressed or just like, just a lot of angst. And so I asked God to show me how to train to become bulletproof.
Mm-hmm.
Within a couple of weeks, no joke, within a couple of weeks, I picked up a book on learning disorders in children, and God just kind of connected all the dots on how amazing our body is and how
mm-hmm.
the movements we need to be strong are the movements that have always been in us. And that's really how all this started.
Very cool. So it's interesting because I had a similar path, but in yoga. So I was doing, and so just to be clear, I don't think Tim is blaming kettlebells or any kettlebell system for his overuse injuries.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
I'm very happy for those.
Right. And so to be clear, I am not blaming any yoga or yoga system for the overuse injuries that I was experiencing in my hands, wrists, shoulders, etc. But what it taught me to do, it sounds very similar. It got me to kind of step back and try to figure out what was the goal? Why was I doing all the yoga in the first place? And it was to establish a healing modality, right? Because yoga is supposed to pull you together, It's supposed to balance you out head to toe, left and right. But I was getting busted up. My path was a little bit different. I started looking a little more like physical therapy, trigger point therapy, things of that nature. But then as I started to get into movement-based modalities, that's where I found original strength. So if I understand you correctly, you're feeling busted up. You were seeking guidance. You asked God for help. He led you to looking at child development, like neonatal type developmental things. Is that correct?
It wasn't even, it was more learning disorders. So kids that maybe have dyslexia, attention deficit disorder. There was a book called Smart Moves by Carla Hannaford. And man, it just made sense. It just popped. And the question I got, it just left me with this, man, if these movements are so powerful to help with children that have disorders, what could they do for anybody, for everybody?
And so was it more intuitive? Like you just took it upon yourself. You said, okay, I should be able to do this, this, and this. You got on the floor and tried that stuff?
So that's the greatest thing. And that's why I really say the whole thing was quite miraculous, because I knew before I even started crawling that it was going to be powerful. Like I just knew. Yeah. So I guess intuitive. So even before I started doing these things, I knew it was what I was looking for. And sure enough, once I started doing them, and then I started getting other people to do them so I could see how it affected them. Because you want to know if you're not crazy or not. And I wanted to see how it affected other people. And the more I did it, and the more I saw other people do it, it was just like continued to highlight what these movements were and how powerful they were.
Gotcha.
So to answer your original question, yes, that did eventually lead me away from traditional training with kettlebells and really anything for a very long period of time, where I spent the majority of my time remembering how I was designed to move, with a ton of crawling in the mix, and being creative with all the different ways that I could crawl. And then I started throwing in carrying things around too, because we're made to move from one point to another. So the majority of my training for quite some time was just a lot of loaded carrying and a lot of loaded crawling and stuff.
And you're back to using kettlebells? Have you integrated that back into your training, or are you still, like, what's the percentage? 99% original strength, 1% kettlebells?
So I think probably the best way to answer this now is, because somebody asked me this last week, and I think probably 90% of it is Tim just enjoying what he wants to do.
Right.
With 10% of it being maybe some traditional looking stuff like kettlebell or barbell. But if I'm doing that, 10% is me also playing to be exploring, trying to learn a skill, or just, I'm not doing it for anything other than my own curiosity and interest for right now.
Right.
Season of where I'm at right now.
I got you.
So the 90% of me just being me is a ton of original strength, but also body weight stuff. I'm fascinated with, it have been for years, but it always comes back. So there's something to it for me. Just Hindu push-ups, Hindu squats, yoga, yoga type moves. I think they're beautiful and they feel good. So I love doing those, and they fit so well with original strength and our natural movements anyway. So to me, that's just such a synchronicity there. But yeah, the other 10%, I might pick up a kettlebell or a barbell, but I might do something really weird with it too. I don't know doing anything that you're going to learn at a seminar with them, but
gotcha. Yeah, that's kind of again, similar route is the kettlebells, and it could even be dumbbells, by the way, and it can even be resistance bands. For me, it's the resistance training helps strengthen me in ways that will improve my yoga. The yoga helps improve the way I'm able to use the kettlebells or whatever. It just creates this nice, positive, forward feedback loop, if that makes sense. Because what I learned in yoga, and even in kettlebells and everything, is there's not one system that covers it all. right? So yoga tends to come short in pulling types of moves. You don't have chin-ups in yoga. So if you're not doing chin-ups or some kind of a row, you're going to come up short in like muscular balancing and stuff like that. Do you find that does original strength, could you just only do original strength and cover everything, or do you still need to supplement with other moves and modalities?
Well, and again, I could be, obviously I'm biased, but I've done, so I went through a period where I basically just did OS, and just walked away from the weight room and traditional strength training for at least probably a year or more. And noticed when I came back, I was stronger. And stronger in doing as much, if not more than I was when I left, but not after not touching it for so long, even with pulling exercises. So I do think I think the body's complete. I think everything we need is inside of us, as long as we engage in our design and we move the way we're supposed to. So I really don't think that we were lacking anything outside of ourselves to thrive anyway.
Excellent. And so some of the benefits that you've seen, and I know maybe this is a little biased because it's you and you're the creator of OS. You said that you felt stronger when you kind of backed off of conventional training, focused only on original strength. What were some of the other benefits that you felt?
Oh, well, and it led to one of my mottos. I felt good. So,
yeah.
And I have this saying that I'll probably always have now, because you don't know until you know, right? But my saying is, it feels good to feel good.
Right.
You probably can't appreciate that unless you just don't feel good. But
yeah,
once you start feeling good, you know it feels good to feel good. So I like not hurting. I like not being afraid that I'm going to hurt myself. And I like knowing that I can pretty much do anything I want to do. And I'm going to be okay. Like if I want to go run sprints, I can go run sprints. If I want to go play Frisbee with my teenagers, I can. If I can live, I can enjoy life. So to me, that's what it has given me, is just the freedom to enjoy or live the way I want to. But it also gave me a different perspective, or a paradigm shift. And I think you kind of talked about this too, is that I no longer live to train, though. Training is no longer my idol or anything. I now move and or train, however you want to call it, so that I can live.
Correct.
Completely upside down paradigm that I was living in for me. And I think many of us go through that as well. But I was certainly somebody that was in that for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And one of my mentors, Steve Maxwell, he talks about that. He has talked about it for decades. He says once you get to a certain age, you start to forget about personal records. You start to forget about things that were arbitrary to begin with. And you start to realize like getting up and down off the ground is the goal.
Priceless.
Right? And I'm 51 now. And what I try to share with my client, I'll share it with anyone who will listen. The goal for most of us, the goal should be get up and down off the ground, be able to move relatively pain-free, and just try to stay relatively strong. And however you do that, like I don't know that running a 5K is super important when you get to be 51. Running is a skill, and I know that's part of the original strength system, but just for the sake of keeping the skill active versus like not ever being able to run again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there when you need it.
Correct.
There when you need it, and that's good.
Excellent. So without giving too much away, can you talk a little bit about, well, let's take a step back. Tim's got a great YouTube channel. What is the name of your YouTube channel for the original strength?
Yeah, it's just the original strength. Yeah.
Tim's got a great YouTube channel, and honestly, he's extremely generous with his content. If you go to YouTube, you do a search for original strength. Do you have like 7 million videos on how to crawl and how to twist?
Not 7 million, close. Maybe about 300 or so, maybe.
Okay. So upwards of 300 videos fully demonstrating crawling, rolling, rocking, etc. So to get an idea of what original strength is all about, definitely check out his YouTube channel. Definitely check out one of 6 books that you have. How many books have you authored now?
I think 6 is probably, I think that's about right.
That's like original strength tactical.
Yep. So there's so the original Becoming Bulletproof, and then the original strength book, and then we rewrote that called Pressing Reset, Original Strength Reloaded, Habitual Strength, or Original Strength of the Tactical Athlete, Original Strength Performance, and the latest one that just came out this year was the Becoming Bulletproof Project. I came full circle back around to Becoming Bulletproof.
Right. That's awesome. So definitely, I can't recommend Tim's material enough. Doesn't matter if you're a yoga teacher, if you're a calisthenics person or a power lifter or whatever, definitely check out the original strength, because it's, in my opinion, it's just a great way to fine tune everything. And a lot of it's science-based about how it affects your neurology and your muscles. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. It basically how these movements build your nervous system, and how we were designed to move, and everything's tied together: your emotions, your mind, your body, and your nervous system, and they all dance together. And the healthier one of them is, the healthier all of them are.
Gotcha. And what I was trying to get at before we kind of took that left turn is, Tim, will you be able to describe, without giving too much away, what does an original strength session look like? So do you have a facility in Raleigh?
So we call it, our place is called the Original Strength Institute. And there, what we do is we teach everybody how to press reset, or how to move through those movements that they were all given to restore their foundation of movement, or their strength. So we teach everybody how they were designed to move, basically. And once they learn how to restore that foundation of movement, we also teach them how to add more strength on top of it, so that they can live their life better and do the things they want to do.
I know there's a very well time-tested recipe for getting like back into shape or just staying in shape, is get rid of the pain, improve the range of motion, then build strength. Is that kind of along the lines of original strength?
I would say it's there. It does definitely resonates with it, because, and what we've, from experience and what we've learned, just with working with people, is that the body is so amazing, and we try to tell everybody that they are wonderfully made. And the reason we do that is because it's true. But you're so wonderfully made that when you start moving the way you were designed to move, your nervous system removes the brakes from your body. So it may be that it removes the pain that your body is experiencing, and it removes any mobility blocks that you were experiencing. So stiffness, weakness, and pain can all be like brakes or handbrakes or restrictions on the body that are just set there by the nervous system. But once you strengthen the nervous system and it feels safe, it removes restrictions so that you can move. So it may be that simply remembering how to breathe and moving your eyes and head could make your nervous system feel safe, or it removes all the blocks, all the brakes away, so that you can freely move and express yourself in strength, power, mobility, flexibility, whatever the expression is, fully. And it can happen at the speed of your nervous system.
Gotcha. I was on a previous interview with Timber Hawkeye. I had asked him if he had read the book Mastery by George Leonard. Have you read that book?
I haven't, but now that I've heard of it, the name itself makes me curious.
You may want to check it out, because what George Leonard talks about in the book, among many things, is homeostasis. And to me, that I may be oversimplifying it, but that seems like what you're describing here. Homeostasis is when your body is just trying to keep you in a state that it perceives as normal. So if it's normal to have tight hip flexors, shortened hamstrings and a slouched torso, your body's going to try to keep you there no matter what. So it resists movement. It resists trying to break out of that homeostasis. So what I'm hearing is that by being consistent with fundamental movement patterns, you mentioned using your eyes, like really simple stuff, using your eyes, moving your head around, you can sort of break that pattern and set a new level of normal, which is pain-free movement through your neck, shoulders, hips, etc. Does that seem right?
Absolutely. So yeah, so I would describe it as the body certainly adapts to what it always does. And it does strive. Like, there's no need for you to be able to run a 5K if all you do is sit in a chair for 13, 14 hours a day.
Right.
So your body knows that, and it's wisdom. So why waste all the energy keeping you strong and supple to run a 5K when all it needs is the energy to hold you in a chair so you don't fall out and collapse and fall on the floor? Right. So yeah, to change that normal that your body's currently in, you've got to introduce a new stimulus or a new action or routine. And you said the perfect word is consistency. It's just showing up every day. And then that's how you shift that normal bell curve over to the right, or where it looks like a wave. Now the wave is that way. And you create a new normal. And then the more you're able to do there, you're able to branch out and create, continue to push that curve along, because now you can do more stuff.
Right.
And all about showing up, just like you.
So original strength every day, twice a day, 3 times a day. So
the secret is yes to your yes. But the truth of the whole thing is that we were designed to press reset with every moment, every day, for your entire life. So if you breathe with your diaphragm properly, that is a reset. No, every breath should be a reset. Every breath should nourish your nervous system and remove the brakes from your body. Every time you move your head and activate the vestibular system, that should be strengthening your nervous system, because it gives it the good information that it wants. It makes it feel safe. There are no brakes or limitations on your body. Every step you take when your opposite limbs are moving together, every step should nourish your brain, connect both hemispheres so that they can articulately and efficiently communicate amongst themselves and make your entire nervous system efficient throughout your whole body. So we are truthfully designed for every breath, step, glance of the eye, and turn of the head to be a reset. So yes, original strength every day, twice a day, 3 times a day. Ultimately, every is your design, and that's how that's how it should be. Not how it is.
I beg your pardon?
I said that's not how it is.
Oh, I got you.
How it should be.
Got you. Yeah, and that's something. Anyone who will listen, I will tell them. Like, personally, believe me, when we get off of this interview, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to like march in place, or I might get on the ground and roll around. We kind of have a joke. Like my wife, anytime she comes into my office or if she comes into the living room, she never knows what she's going to find. Like if I'm crawling or if I'm doing some kind of a rolling pattern or something. And that's what I try to explain to my clients or anyone who will listen is we have to undo what we do. So a standing desk is not necessarily going to offset sitting all the time, because you'll still find ways to find those poor habits of slouching and whatnot, but you'll just be standing now. So we've got to undo what we do. And I think that your system, Original Strength, is a fantastic, easy way to do it. 3 sessions, 5 minutes a day, at least to stay tuned up.
Absolutely. And it's powerful. Like, again, it doesn't take much.
Mm-hmm.
Your knows exactly what it needs, what it wants. Your body, it knows what it's craving. And if you give it to it, that little bit will go a long, long ways. So even if you're forced to have more of a sedentary life due to your job or your vocation, it doesn't take much to undo a lot of that being sedentary. For
sure. Awesome. Well, as we start to wrap this up, is there anything that we missed or anything you want to add, Tim?
Oh, man. I don't know. I would just encourage anybody that's listening that if you're hurting or you don't move the way you want to, or you feel weak, frail, or fragile, that is not the way you're meant to be. You weren't born or created to feel that way. And you were indeed made to be strong and healthy and enjoy your life. And if you grab hold of that and you engage in your design, then wonderful change can happen. You can regain your strength. Even if you're 60 years old, you can get as strong and feel as good as you did when you were 30. You can still live your life and enjoy a very good quality of life. And you don't have to grow old or age just because you're older. Don't settle for all that nonsense. Your body is amazing and it is very resilient.
Are you familiar with Kelly Starrett's? He's got a what's the word I'm looking for? He's got a breakdown percentage-wise of the likelihood that a human can repair themselves. Are you familiar with the 98%?
No, I know Kelly, but I'm not familiar with that.
This was from an old Joe Rogan podcast back in like 2003. And Kelly said that you have a 1% chance of a pathological issue. If you were born with, if you have bone cancer or something, you can't help it. Or 1% chance of a catastrophe. You get hit by a bus. But other than that, the other 98% chance, there's a chance that you can correct yourself. I'm kind of like, I don't want to say heal yourself, but there's a way that you can just take it upon yourself and get your mobility back and get your strength back. You have a 98% chance of fixing yourself. Have you heard that?
I haven't heard that, but I believe it. And
have you seen it?
I'll say the word heal.
Okay.
I'll say the word miracles. I've seen things happen in the body. And things that people thought were lost forever return. Man, it's amazing. And it never gets old. I never get tired of hearing the stories or seeing it. But the body can heal. And everybody knows it. When you get cut, it starts to try to heal the cut. So you quit bleeding, die. When you get a cold, then your immune system bolsters to rid of the cold. So it knows that's healing. So if you have an issue or a mobility issue, a pain issue or whatever, your body knows how to heal from that as well. I've even seen structural differences and changes in people that they didn't think, that nobody thought was possible. But if the body can make bone, it can make fascia, it knows how to manipulate it also. Just wonderful thing. You're never limited except for this right here, your brain.
Right.
And a lot of people, so the body always follows the head. So we are wired so that if our head moves one way, the body naturally wants to move that way. So that's a very physically true statement. The body follows the head, but it's also I don't know how to say it, mentally true statement that whatever you're thinking in your head, your body will follow that route too.
Right.
You think there's no hope for your body or that you're just going to break down and be broken all your life. There's a very high likelihood that is exactly where you'll be. However, if you embrace that you don't have to be that way and you're going to be strong again or you're going to feel good again, there's a very high likelihood that that's the way you're going to be too.
Right. There's a couple of quotes that come to mind from Henry Ford. Whether you believe you're right or you believe you're wrong, either way you're correct, right? And Paul Bragg had a quote, "The flesh is dumb. The flesh just does what you tell it to do." So if you can, just to repeat what you're saying, if you can get your mind right, the body will follow. There's tons of research on the placebo effect and stuff, but that's a whole other podcast. But I think the message is clear. Get your mind right. Get on the ground. Start rebuilding. Get your strength back. Get your mobility back. And get your original strength back, like how you were intended and designed to be.
Oh, yes, that is it. All you have to do is what you did the very first time. The first way you built strength is it'll still work. Do that same stuff again.
That's awesome. Great. Where can folks find your website or upcoming events? Anything that we can point them to?
So our website is originalstrength.net, and on that website we have a tab where you can check out the certifications or workshops that we'll be doing in different areas. You can type in your zip code to see if there's one near you. If you're just looking for a certified original strength instructor or trainer or coach, you can type in your zip code and find someone close to you. If you want somebody to help you get to where you want to be a little bit faster. Our books are on the website, or you can go to Amazon.com, or even Walmart sells our books. Walmart.com sells
That's
our
awesome.
books. It's pretty wild. And then the YouTube page, like you said, is just, man, it's a lot of resource potential there. Hundreds of videos, not quite
For sure.
but for
Full disclosure, I'm subscribed. I'm a subscriber of your YouTube channel. I think it's great.
Thanks.
Awesome. Well, Tim, I'll include all that information in the description at the bottom of this video clip, and wherever it goes out in social media, I'll be sure to include those links.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks, Tim. It was great meeting you. It was great speaking with you.